I think a lot of people working with color in photography find it hard or frustrating, especially because of how many tools inside our editing programs actually affect the colors. But working with color and getting pleasing results in our photos doesn't have to be complicated at all. So today I'm going to walk through my simple color editing workflow from start to finish to take the confusion out of the panels for you so that you can edit color with more confidence. Now, a quick reminder before we get started, this is just my way of working. It's not the only way, and it's definitely not the single correct way. So the goal of this video is not for you to go ahead and take the exact settings that I dial into a particular photo and apply it to your own, but more so to look at how and why I'm using each tool, be conscious of that, and then you can go ahead and apply that to your own work more confidently. But with that being said, let's load Lightroom up. So Lightroom Classic is still my default editor by choice, but most of what I'm talking about in this video applies to all of the other raw editing suites out there anyway. Okay, so we've got a raw photo in Lightroom here. You can see in the top left hand corner, this is a raw photo. It was shot at 2:44 p.m. in March of this year. So we've got that winter light streaming in here. I've shot it from the shadow side because I really wanted that highlight hitting the wall and over the tops of the cars, and then giving us some depth with this big shadow down here. So it's worth noting to start off with, I have my panels on the right hand side in Lightroom in a custom order. And of course, it doesn't really matter if you do this or don't do this, but the reason I do is because I can work from top to bottom in that order. And there is actually a specific reason for that when it comes to working with color, which we'll get on to later on in this video. And if you wanted to set your own custom order, all you do is right click, go customize, develop panel, and you can move them around with these little icons on the left. You can also remove some completely if there's some of them that you find irrelevant or you never use. It's worth noting that I have already applied my lens corrections and dialed in some sharpness to this image, but other than that, everything is as it is. But we're going to go ahead and look at the most important part, I would say, of starting any edit in Lightroom, especially when it comes to editing color, which is the raw profile or camera profile of your choice. And it kind of annoys me that this is so hidden away inside Lightroom, in my personal opinion. I'd love to see it as its own panel, because lots of people tell me they never even knew this existed whenever I bring this up. So in your basic panel, you've got these 4 boxes here, and you've also got this drop down where you can click browse. I personally like to go on the 4 boxes because then you get a preview of those profiles. Now, by default, if you're using the most up-to-date version of Lightroom Classic, it is always going to be on Adobe Color by default, unless you change that in your settings. Now, the reason these are so important, especially again when it comes to editing color and making your life with color easier, is because these are the foundation, the very starting point of what the image even looks like on the screen, because without one of those profiles, the raw photo would be nothing. It's data, it's numbers, it can't be visually seen without one of those raw profiles being applied, telling us what it should look like. So these profiles tell the raw photo to look a different way. It tells the colors to look different, the tonal range to look different, everything. So when it comes to selecting your profile when you're starting your edits, I can't give you a definitive answer on which one you should use, because it's all down to personal taste, and editing photos is all down to personal taste. You can do this 2 ways. You could either pick one profile that you really like, and you could start every single edit with that profile, so you know you're always getting the same starting point. And I think that's fantastic. Most of my photos are started in the default Adobe Color profile, but I do often jump around the camera matching profiles as well if I want a certain feeling for an image and I feel like that profile can get me closer to that feeling from the get-go. So for this particular image, I want it to feel bright, airy, quite warm, and quite sort of nostalgic and vintage. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and click the soft high key profile, which is inside of Sony cameras, and just hovering over that there, let's select it. You can see the drastic change that has done to our image already. Let's turn it off. Let's turn it on. That is ridiculous. So without moving any sliders, anything like that, we've made a huge shift. Right, so next we're going to talk about calibration, but this is really just a quick mention because if I'm being completely honest, I rarely touch calibration in my photo edits, and I think that leans into this whole simple method. It doesn't have to be complicated or anything like that, but I will quickly state why I have it so high up in my panels, because by default it's actually at the bottom of those panels inside Lightroom, and I've moved it up because what calibration does is shift the DNA of what red, green and blue pixels look like in your image. So every single color in a photo is made up of either red, green or blue, or a mix of those three pixels. So if I move the red primary hue, for example, watch this sort of metal back wall here. If I move it all the way this way, you're going to see the color of that wall completely change, even though it's not red. And that is because every single color in the image is made up of red, blue or green, or a mix of red, blue and green. So I'm going to leave that panel completely untouched, but I just wanted to tell you why it's there at the top, because if I do make any slight calibration changes to the image, I want that to take effect before I start going in and making more refined local adjustments to individual colors. It's very powerful, but in the spirit, like I say, of keeping it simple, we're going to leave all them at 0, because just because the tool's there, it doesn't mean we have to use it. So moving on then and down the list, we're going to jump into our basic panel, and much like the raw profile and the calibration, I want to change my temp and tint before I get in to adjusting all those individual colors on their own again, because they are global adjustments that are going to affect the entire image. So it makes sense to me to get that dialed in before we start messing around with the colors on a local scale. So for this particular image, because when I was stood there, when I shot it, it was bright, it was warm, it actually felt quite warm despite it being March, and I want to represent that. So I'm going to warm this image up. I'm actually going to put it to daylight, which is 5500, and dial that in, and I'm going to drop the tint down just a little bit, because to my eye, this might not be coming across on YouTube, to my eye, it looks like it's leaning a little bit magenta. So I'm going to go, let's go 8. Yeah, that looks much better. So because this video is all about color and making editing color easy, I'm not going to run through what I've done and explain what I've done to the basic sliders inside of Lightroom, but you can look at them in this video if you want to see what I've done to balance the image out a bit more. So you can check those sliders out on the side there and see what I've done to the image. I'm actually just going to put a bit of contrast in there to just give it a bit of a kick. So what I'm going to do here, if you don't know the difference between vibrance and saturation, vibrance pulls up the colors that are already a little bit lacking. And that's very powerful when you have a very colorful image. And saturation is going to do it on a complete global scale. So if we pull saturation all the way down, you're going to see the image is going to go completely black and white, because it affects every single color inside of the image. Vibrance does not do that. So if we bring vibrance all the way down, you're going to see there's actually color still in there, reds, a bit of blue and stuff like that. So there's your proof right there that they do not work in the same way. So I'm actually going to give vibrance +10, and that's going to pull up some of the weaker colors in the image. -5 for saturation to pull down some of the stronger colors in the image, mainly the red car. I don't want that red at any point to get to a point where it's blowing my face off. Now for tone curve, I'm actually going to keep the tone curve turned off in this image. I'm happy with the way it looks. And again, if you're happy with the way an image looks, that doesn't mean you have to go in and use any of these features inside Lightroom. If you can't answer the question why you need to use it, the chances are you don't need to use it. But I do want to quickly touch on something inside of tone curve. If you are to apply a tone curve, let's put strong contrast on there. That's going to look a bit ridiculous, but something really powerful that people often miss is this refine saturation slider here, because when you add contrast, especially heavy like this, you're adding saturation. But what you can do is bring that slider back to 0, and that's going to counter that saturation back out of the colors. So anytime I use tone curve on any photo, I always set that slider back to 0. Okay, so onto what I would say is probably the most fun part about a photo edit is the HSL panel. And just in case there's anybody here that's jumping into Lightroom the first time, jumping into photo editing for the first time, maybe you've never even seen anything to do with Lightroom or photo editing before, I'll very quickly explain what the HSL sliders do. So hue, I like to say it changes the color of a color, because that's basically what it does. So if we wanted to make the red more orange, we can move the red slider towards orange, and you're going to see that car go extremely orange, nearly even towards yellow. We've moved it that far. Saturation, I like to say, is simply how strong a color is. So if you've got pale red paint and you add more red to that red paint, it gets stronger in color. So if we bring that red slider all the way up, you're going to see that red get stronger. Dead simple, nice and easy. Luminance, really powerful, is how light or dark a color is. So if you bring the luminance of the reds all the way up towards the lighter side, that color is going to get lighter in the image. And it's worth noting that when you add positive luminance, you make a color brighter, you actually take saturation away. When you make a color darker, you actually add saturation. So again, when it comes to the order that I do things in here, I always start with hue, but I also rarely make that many adjustments to hue. But the reason I always start with it is because, just like the other things in this video, it makes no sense to start working with the saturation and luminance if I've not decided on how that color is going to look as a color in my photo. So for this image, all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring the blues towards teal by -10. I want this image to have a little bit more of a teal reddy orange look to it. I want it to feel a little bit nostalgic, and bringing those blues towards teal does that. And the key for all of these three things inside the HSL panel, in my opinion, is not to just pull them around and do random things with them, but look at your image and say, what do I actually want to achieve? For example, I'm now going to move into saturation, and I'm looking at the image and I'm saying to myself, I want this brickwork in the back here, perhaps this roof up here as well, and the car to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more colorful, especially the orange brickwork. I want that to be more orange. I'm making that conscious choice before just messing around with the sliders. So because of that, I'm going to bring them oranges up quite considerably to 25, like that, which you can see gives us a nice kick to that wall. I'm going to do the same for the reds, but a little bit less, 20 perhaps, and I'm happy with that. And then for the greens, just because we've got this green door in the background there, I'm going to bring the greens down a bit. There's also some green, if I just zoom in to that window there, there's some green back there, and I don't want that to be too distracting. So I'm going to bring greens down. Let's do -15, and it's just going to soften them out a little bit. You're not going to be able to tell that much, but I don't want that green to be, you know, a major part of the image. Blues, I'm going to do the same for, but we'll probably just do -10 for that. Keep that focus on the red car and the orange brickwork more than anything else. And then moving on into luminance here, I'm actually going to boost the luminance of the car because I'm shooting shadow side here. So this side of the car where the door is and everything like that is in the shadow and quite dark. So I'm going to boost that up by perhaps 25, and that's going to give a nice kick to the side of that car. I'm also looking at this and saying I would like my sky to be quite a bit lighter, again doubling down on that almost nostalgic feel, happy, warm, bright and airy feel. So I'm going to go and boost the blue luminance by 20, which is going to give us a nice kick to the sky. And likewise with the saturation of the greens, I'm going to also bring the luminance of the green down considerably to -40 to darken out that door in the background and make sure it's not too much of a prominent feature in the image. So quick top tier, optimum, pro, whatever buzzword you would like to use tip here that I've mentioned in a couple of videos. but it's one of my favorite features in Lightroom, is that if you hold the Alt key on Windows or the Option key on a Mac, while you're moving these sliders, you can separate the colors. So if I move red here while holding the Alt or Option key, everything else in the image is going to go black and white. And this is the most powerful thing inside Lightroom, because you can see exactly what is happening and where those colors are. If I wanted to see where the yellows are specifically in the photo, I can hold that key down on my keyboard again, move the yellows, and I can see that the yellows are just affecting those particular areas. And this allows you to make way more refined and, dare I say, intentional choices when you're editing your photos. All right, so now we've done that, we're coming down again to our next section of the edit, which is color grading. And color grading, I think, can be a bit feared by photographers, because they look at it, they see the wheels and stuff like that, and they think, I'm not going to touch that. And again, I'll be truthfully honest, I don't touch it that much. There's loads and loads of edits where I don't touch it at all, because I'm looking at the image and saying, I don't need to add anything else. But for this image, I would like to add one thing, and I'm also going to show you a nice representation that's going to explain how simple color grading really is, and the only way you really need to understand it. So I've just grabbed this gradient color palette, if you will. I'll change the background there so you can see the left-hand side. So inside our color grading, I prefer to come out of this sort of split panel here and go into the bigger windows, which separates shadows, midtones, and highlights. And you can think of the color grading panel of giving us 3 separate maps, if you will, of the image. So the one for the shadows, if we go ahead and bring this color wheel all the way towards the yellows, you can see it's added yellow there into the middle, into our shadows. It's not touched black, because you can't add color to pure black. We're injecting color into our shadows. It's one of the few tools inside Lightroom that actually adds color that doesn't exist already. All of the other tools in there typically work with colors that are in the photo, but the color grading panel gives us the option to inject color that never existed. So let me reset that shadows there, and let's come over to the highlights one. Let's do the same thing. Let's push it all the way up to yellow. And there you go. We can see the yellow has been applied there, but not to this pure white section on the left-hand side, because again, you can't add color to pure white. So for this particular image, and again, much like the HSL panel, this is all about looking at the photograph and asking myself what I want to achieve, rather than taking these color wheels and slamming them anywhere. And for me, I feel like I want the shadows to be a little bit warmer, just to double down again on that warm look, on that warm light that's coming in. And zooming in there, you can see the shadows got a nice blue tinge to them, but I want to add a little bit of warmth in there. So all I'm going to do is go onto shadows here. I'm going to bring this all the way up to select my color first. So I'm going to select color that I think is pleasing. I'm going to stop on the orange about there, and of course that looks ridiculous, but now we're going to come down to the saturation slider, set that back to 0, and then start to introduce it very slowly. So I'm going to start with just 10, 11%. That's okay. I might go up to 15, and I'm happy with that. Perfect. I'm not going to do anything to the highlights, because I want those highlights to look exactly like they do. If I wanted the highlights to also be warm, I'd repeat that process. Whether this edit is to your taste or whether you like it is, you know, open for question for everyone, but this is just the feeling I wanted to create with this particular image. And we'll put the before photo up on the screen here and the final edit for you to look at one more time. So if you're still here by this point, I can only assume you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, but it is worth noting that my channel here on YouTube is not an editing channel, it's a photography channel as a whole. So please come and check out some of my most recent videos, and if you enjoy those ones too, then consider subscribing and joining me for future uploads. I'd really appreciate that, and thank you so much for joining me here today. I'll see you in the next one.